Hey guys, so kind of continuing off of this top five list themed videos that I've been doing a lot lately. Um, for this next top five list regarding film, I want to talk about my worst film experiences. And when I say that, I don't just mean some of the worst films of all time I've ever had to see. I'm also going to talk about, this is all went into account when I was making this top five list. These are things that, while I was watching a film, something really bad was happening, or something that was going on while I was viewing some of these films was going on. I'm going to talk about why that's the case. So I guess it's kind of hard to explain without actually getting into this list. Um, but these are just some of my top five worst film experiences I've ever had. Like I said, whether it's watching a film, something bad's going on, or something bad's going on with the film itself, or anything along that line. So at number five, several years ago, I saw the Street Fighter sequel with a group of friends. And while we were in the theater, this was the Street Fighter Legend of Chun Li, for those who want to get specific. Um, while the movie was going on, we were near the end of the film. The big climax was going on. The big final fight was going on in this movie. And this isn't a spoiler. I'm just trying to tell you why this is one of the worst film experiences I've ever had. Um, I had my cell phone was ringing in my pocket. Normally I turn my phone off, and actually ever since this film I always try to make sure my phone is off before the movie begins in the movie theater, um, just because it might ruin the film experience for me in some way. But my phone was ringing. It was by my mom, so I figured, okay, well I better go outside and take this call. Big final fight was going on with Chun Li. It was set up in a way where like, okay, maybe I can come back and watch the final few minutes of this fight or something. So I take the call. I try to take it as quick as I can. My mom was calling about something that really wasn't that important, to tell you the truth. I really think she just could have just left me a message, to be honest. Um, so I take the call. I go back into the theater. The whole movie's done. Like directed by, they're showing the cast members and everything. The whole movie is done. I missed the entire ending of this movie. So what ended up happening is because I never really saw the film again. To be honest, I really didn't want to. One of my friends had to explain on the car ride home what the ending was, since I missed it because of that phone call. So that's one of my that's a top five on my that's number five on this list. Um, Simply because I had to miss a whole ending just to take a call that really wasn't that important. I should have had my phone off. My mom really shouldn't have called me, to be honest. And even if she did, I think she could have just left a message. I should have had my phone off. I could have taken that call as soon as the movie got done with. So that's at number five, simply because my poor friend had to explain what the ending of that movie was just because of that phone call. At number four, back when I saw a screening of Fantastic Four, this is the version with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, not the unreleased version, not Rise of the Silver Surfer, the original Jessica Alba, Chris Evans one. Um, I swear to God, my friend and I were at the movie. We're watching this movie in the theater, and we had the rudest audience member sitting a couple, I'd say 4 rows up from us, I would say, actually. We were in the middle row somewhere. They talked the whole movie. They had phones going off. They were calling people. They were taking calls. They were teasing each other while the movie was going on, and they had loud comments during the movie. I almost went and got an usher to try to get these people out of the theater. But luckily, somebody must have gotten an usher. Someone must have made a complaint, because an usher went up and told the people to quiet down, or else they would have had to been removed from the theater. Luckily, they did after that. But I would say we were a good 2/3 into the movie by the time these people finally shut up. Um, so that's at number four, simply for the reason that I had to rewatch this film on DVD once the DVD release came out for this movie, to actually witness the whole movie without any type of distractions, simply because the idiots next to me just had to keep talking throughout the movie. Um, at number three, this is just kind of a personal thing that happened. Um, I'm not even going to say that the people's names on here simply because of privacy, and some people might actually know these people because they live in my neighborhood. But I had to babysit their kid at one point. Um, you know, get a few extra bucks over the summer. It went perfectly fine. The kid was great. We had a lot of fun. Great babysitting time, right? But unfortunately, this kid, once again, I'm not going to use names. This kid, for some reason, had an obsession with the movie Mulan 2. Now, I love the first Mulan film. I'm a huge fan of Disney films. Mulan 1 was great. I actually saw that one in the theater a while back. Really good movie. Ming Na Wen from Agents of Shield's in it. She's the voice of Mulan. This is one of her earlier roles, I think. Really good movie, right? So I finally sat down and watched the sequel with this kid who apparently like watches it every day. At least at this point in his life, he watched it almost every day. Um, he, almost had to basically watch this movie like at least once a day, specifically during lunchtime when he wanted to watch movies and stuff. It got to the point where almost every day, and keep in mind this is almost throughout the whole summer I was babysitting this kid. Almost every day that kid watched Mulan 2. So by the end of the summer, I can perfectly say that I would never have to watch Mulan 2 ever again. I think it's a very bad sequel. It's a bad movie in general. I'm actually shocked Ming Na Wen wanted to come back for the sequel. Really bad movie. I can see how I was direct to video after some research I did on it. I think even Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 0%. It's really not a good movie at all. I watched that movie way too many times. I think it's a very poorly done movie, a very bad sequel to the first one, which was first one was a really good movie. Uh, so because of that forced viewing of Mulan 2, specifically the repetitive forced viewing of Mulan 2, I will never watch that movie again. I hated it. Um, so that's at number three, just because that the fact that I had to watch that stupid movie almost every day for 3 months, I think is the reason why I can't watch that movie anymore. So Mulan 2 managed to make it to number three. At number two, a good friend of mine and I were, the friend of mine was a good sport. He wasn't a huge fan of horror films, he wasn't a huge fan of the Halloween franchise. But for some odd reason, back in the day, I really wanted to see Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. The first one didn't bother me too much. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I myself can admit there's a lot of flaws with the first Rob Zombie Halloween film. My nose is running all of a sudden. So that being said, I wanted to go see the sequel in the theater back when the sequel came out. The friend of mine was a good sport. He saw the first Halloween, really liked the first John Carpenter Halloween. He didn't even see the Rob Zombie version. I said, let's go see that Halloween too. You seem to want to see it a lot. Let's just go check it out. I have nothing to do this afternoon. Let's just go watch it in the theater. So we watch it in the theater. This is one of the first movies I actually almost left the theater from, just because it was just such an awful movie. This is also the first time too where when I'm watching a movie in a theater and I see people getting up out of their seats, leaving the theater randomly during the screening. That's just how bad it was. So by the time the movie, I would say it's in its last 25 minutes, it was me and my friend and maybe two other people in the theater at this point. And this was opening weekend. This was like on a Saturday or a Sunday, I think. Um, this movie's awful. Nobody's liking it. People seem to be dissatisfied. I think I even heard a as the person was leaving the theater for one of them. Um, Really not a good movie. I myself wanted my money back on this one. Really awful sequel. I think Rob Zombie should have released this movie to direct to DVD or direct to video. Um, really bad sequel. Really unnecessary sequel. Also, I liked the first Rob Zombie Halloween film, but this film really didn't need to happen. Specifically with the ending that I saw for this one. Really bad movie. My friend and I, we almost kind of wanted to take a bath after watching this movie just because there was so much blood and gore in it. Really, really bad. Nothing good about that movie. So that makes it to number two. Then number one, for those who really know me, and for any time I talk about really bad movies, films I cannot watch at all. My number one worst film experience is the time when my parents went to Hollywood Video and rented the film The Hours. It's the worst movie I ever had to sit through. It's terrible acting, terrible storyline, terrible script, terrible cinematography, terrible musical score. Um, Anything that's bad about a movie is in The Hours. It's awful. I don't see why the Film Academy nominated Nicole Kidman for Best Actress for this film. Horrible movie. I think they even nominated it for Best Picture. No idea why. It's just a giant pile of crap. And it's the film that makes me not like Stephen Daldry. I cannot stand that guy as a director. I hated The Reader. I refuse to watch Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. I can't stand the guy. I can't stand the way he directs movies. So The Hours is the number one worst film experience I've ever had. Almost 3 hours of my life I'll never get back. Horrible movie. I think the only reason why it's called The Hours is just because of its length. It's really long. There's no point to it. It can't even decide what kind of storyline it wants to have. Really awful movie, and I highly recommend avoiding that movie like the plague. Really awful film experience. So that's my top 5 worst film experiences, you guys. I know I sound really negative in this review, but these really are. These are just, when I look back at bad film viewing experiences, I think of these 5 moments, specifically the hours. I really did not like that movie at all. Um, so leave a comment below. What's your worst film experience of all time? Do you have a top 5? Do you have a number 1 pick? That's easily your worst film experience of all time. Let me know. Hope you guys enjoy these top 5 film related videos I've been making lately. These top 5 lists. Hope to see you guys here for the next video.